Hi, I'm Amanda Stone Cold Smith, and I'm a joke writer, stand-up comedian, and pharmaceutical commercial background actor based in the great city of Poughkeepsie, New York. You know, a lot of people say to me, how can you stand living in such a small town? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Poughkeepsie's a big city. We have 2 bowling alleys, a skating rink, and a planetarium. What more could you want? It is a little difficult to find work. I got my start writing dad jokes for Father's Day greeting cards, like, don't forget how beery you are to me, or I like you beery much, or dear dad, here's a beer, I only like you when you're drunk. But then Hallmark outsourced its joke writing to a bunch of chimpanzees on typewriters, so it's been slim pickings. Especially since the shock jock I used to write for got fired. Apparently no one listens to radio anymore. It turns out that he hadn't had a single listener in years. Since then, I found odd jobs and one-off gigs around town. I've tried to really stretch my abilities to make myself more employable. For instance, our family friend runs a funeral home, and I got a gig writing eulogies and obituaries. Obits, if you're in the biz. I like the challenge of it, you know? Those are really tough rooms. And funeral directors and priests don't really have the comedic chops or timing to pull it off. Unfortunately, it was pretty short-lived, as I got fired for what I thought was a pretty lighthearted joke about grief. I see y'all went with a closed casket. You know, every casket's a closed casket if you pay enough. I used to think open casket meant they were fully naked, which, in my opinion, is the only real way to bring closure. I thought it was funny. They didn't like it. It turns out they were burying an empty casket for a guy who died pantsless. The guy flushed himself down the toilet. It was one of those high-pressure black market toilets. They eventually found the guy, shaken but alive, and they still wouldn't hire me back. So I had to find a new gig. A law firm let me try out for a gig writing jokes for closing statements and such. A lawyer would tell me the demographics of the jury, and then I'd use that to write jokes tailored to each member and the case. Like, if it was a man accused of tax fraud and there were 10 women over 50 on the jury, I'd say something like, the IRS really trusted a man? That's on them. They ended up giving him the death penalty. After that, a libertarian mayoral candidate hired me to write fire department burns and anti-public school material for his speeches. That went okay, but he paid me under the table in Kohl's Cash and Chuck E. Cheese tokens. Oh, I just applied for a job at Vassar writing jokes for professors to tell their classes. It's a cool program they have as part of their goal to cut forced ass-kissing labs by 30% over the next 10 years. The pay is good, but I don't know if I want to spend my days writing periodic table puns and psychology-related impressions of 1990s Canadian micro-celebrities that nobody outside of Manitoba has ever heard of. Where do I go from here? Well, I think my future's bright. You know, tour guides, pilots, dental hygienists will always need my services. If that doesn't work out, I could always move down south to the big city, like Peekskill or even Terrytown. If anybody needs a joke written cheap and fast, call 845-BIG-JOKE. I'm the #1 rated comedy writer under $30 on TaskRabbit.